Most men walk into divorce court thinking the system is fair, until the judge walks in and they realise it never was. Divorce courts don't favour women by accident, they favour them by design. A woman only needs to show emotion to gain sympathy, while a man must prove he's innocent just to break even. Her tears are treated as truth, his truth is treated as strategy. Judges know giving custody to the mother is the safest choice because society assumes she's the better parent, and when she gets the kids, she automatically gets the house, the support and the financial advantage. The system profits when men lose. Lawyers earn more, the state collects more, and the narrative stays alive. Men think divorce ends the relationship, but it actually begins the war. And in that war, the system always chooses the side that looks more fragile, not the one that's more honest. Every man walks into marriage believing the same comforting lie, that love, loyalty, and doing the right thing will protect him if everything falls apart. He believes the legal system is balanced, that judges are neutral, and that divorce is simply the fair division of a life built together. But that belief is the trap. The truth is that modern divorce courts were never designed with fairness in mind. They were built on decades of cultural conditioning, political incentives, and psychological biases that automatically position women as the more fragile, more emotional, and therefore more deserving side. Men think the law treats both genders equally, but gender equality disappears the moment divorce papers are filed. What he doesn't know is that once a woman enters the courtroom, she isn't just a spouse, she becomes the system's preferred client. Her story is taken as truth, her emotions are accepted as evidence, and her claims are believed before they're even questioned. Meanwhile, he is viewed not as a partner, but as a potential threat, financially, emotionally, or even physically. He must defend himself from assumptions he never agreed to. He must prove innocence where she only needs to imply harm. He must justify his role as a father while she is automatically seen as the primary parent. The big lie men believe is that divorce is a negotiation. It isn't. It's a battlefield with rules designed long before he arrived, and almost every one of those rules tilts toward her. Long before modern divorce courts existed, society built its foundation on one unspoken rule: men are responsible and women must be protected. This mindset seeped into laws, institutions, and judges long before you were born. In the early legal systems, men were seen as providers, leaders, and decision-makers, which meant they were also seen as the ones who could absorb loss. Women, meanwhile, were viewed as fragile dependents who needed financial and emotional security at all costs. So when divorce laws were eventually written, they weren't designed around fairness, they were designed around old assumptions that men can survive betrayal, heartbreak, and financial damage, but women cannot. That bias never went away. It simply evolved into modern language: stability, primary caregiver, emotional well-being. Courts still operate on the same outdated belief: the mother must be protected first. When judges award custody to women or give them the house, the assets, and the support, they're not thinking about fairness. They're thinking about liability. They know that if they give the child to the father and something goes wrong, their career is ruined. But if they give the child to the mother, no one questions it. The court's priority is not justice, it's safety, and the safest choice in their eyes is always the mother. Men enter the courtroom thinking the judge will decide based on evidence, but judges decide based on risk. And in a risk-based system, the man becomes the expendable side. He's the one easier to sacrifice, easier to blame, easier to strip financially, because society has always believed he can handle the fallout. What he sees as injustice, the courtroom sees as tradition, a tradition that punishes men for simply being the gender expected to endure pain without complaint. In divorce court, the biggest advantage a woman has isn't evidence, truth, or logic, it's perception. The system is built on emotional storytelling, not objective facts. And women naturally fit the role that courts, judges, and society are conditioned to believe: the vulnerable victim. She doesn't need to prove her pain, she only needs to express it. A single tear, a shaky voice, or a well-timed pause carries more weight than 100 pages of a man's evidence. Her emotional reactions are viewed as honesty, while his calmness is treated as indifference. Her fear is believable even without proof, but his fear is seen as manipulation unless he proves otherwise. Judges, juries, lawyers, all of them subconsciously respond to emotional vulnerability, and because women are socially allowed to express emotions more freely, they instantly gain a psychological upper hand. A woman saying, "I'm scared," is taken seriously. A man saying, "I'm scared," is dismissed as weakness. She can claim emotional harm and be protected. He claims emotional harm and is told to man up. This victim advantage shapes the entire case before any evidence is presented. A woman is assumed to be nurturing, honest, and protective. A man is assumed to be potentially harmful, controlling, or hiding something. She is seen as the safe choice. He is seen as the uncertain one. And in a system that rewards emotional narratives over rational explanations, the person who looks more fragile wins, not the one who is telling the truth. Long before any courtroom existed, human biology had already written the script for how men and women would be treated. Women were seen as the life givers, physically weaker but emotionally prioritized, the ones who needed protection for the survival of the tribe. Men were seen as the expendable gender, the fighters, the workers, the ones sent into danger first. That evolutionary bias lives inside society even today, and it shapes every decision a judge makes. When a man and woman stand side by side, the subconscious instinct is simple: protect her, question him. Even if neither of them says a word, the court has already made an emotional judgment before the legal one begins. Social conditioning makes this worse. From childhood, people are taught to empathize with women and distrust men. Movies portray men as the problem, media portrays women as the victims. Schools teach boys to control themselves and teach girls to express themselves. Society expects men to be strong, silent, and responsible, but expects women to be emotional, expressive, and in need of support. So when divorce happens, those lifelong beliefs explode inside the courtroom. Her tears activate sympathy. His silence activates suspicion. Her anxiety looks understandable. His anxiety looks aggressive. Even mothers and fathers are viewed differently because of biology. A mother is automatically seen as nurturing. A father is seen as optional. A woman's bond with her children is considered natural. A man's bond is considered secondary. These assumptions have nothing to do with truth. They come from ancient instincts that society never corrected. And when those instincts collide with modern law, the outcome is predictable. Women are protected and men are punished, not because of what they did, but because of what the world has been taught to believe about them. When a couple walks into a custody battle, the father thinks he is starting at 0. What he doesn't know is that he's actually starting at -10. The courtroom assumes, without proof, without evidence, and without logic, that the mother is the primary caregiver. It doesn't matter if the father woke up early for school runs, paid every bill, cooked dinners, or spent more time with the kids than she ever did. None of that matters in the eyes of the court. The system is built on the outdated tender years doctrine, the belief that young children need their mother more than their father, even though modern psychology has proven again and again that children need both parents equally. But courts don't follow truth, they follow tradition. Judges also think in terms of safety and liability. Giving children to the mother is considered the safe decision because society rarely questions a mother's parenting, but is quick to judge a father. If a judge gives custody to the father and anything goes wrong, he risks scrutiny, backlash, even losing his job. But if the judge gives custody to the mother and things go wrong, society shrugs. Why? Because the mother was the default choice. This fear-based decision-making means fathers lose before the fight even begins. And then comes the financial angle. When children go to the mother, the court can justify child support orders, alimony, and financial penalties that keep the money flowing through the system. The state earns a percentage of child support collected. Lawyers earn more the longer the fight drags on. The entire machine benefits when the mother holds the children and the father holds the bill. So when a man stands in court and hears the judge say, "in the best interest of the child," he doesn't realize that this phrase is code for maintaining the system's comfort, not protecting the child's future. The truth is simple and brutal. Custody isn't awarded based on who is the better parent. It's awarded to the parent who fits the system's script. And in that script, the mother is the hero and the father is the afterthought. Most men think divorce is about emotions, betrayal, and broken families. But for the system, divorce is business, a billion-dollar industry that profits every time a marriage collapses. And the engine of that industry is simple: take as much money as possible from the man, funnel it through the woman, and let the state and lawyers collect their share. When a court awards custody to the mother, it unlocks a financial pipeline. Child support, alimony, legal fees, enforcement fees, every single payment flows through government channels. The state literally earns money from child support orders. The more the father pays, the more the system earns. This is why nearly every financial structure rewards giving the children to the mother. A father who has custody doesn't generate income for the system, but a father who loses custody becomes a long-term revenue source. Lawyers understand this better than anyone. They don't get paid when you heal your marriage. They get paid when conflict increases. The longer the court battle, the more hours they bill. And who fuels the conflict? The person the system keeps on a pedestal, the mother. She's encouraged to demand more, challenge more, drag the process out, because every new accusation opens another door for the system to charge more money. If a father tries to settle quickly, he's told he's avoiding responsibility. If a mother refuses to settle, she's protecting her children. The language is manipulated so that the father always looks like the problem. and the mother always looks like the victim, even when both sides know the truth is more complicated. And here's the darkest part. The system doesn't want parents to cooperate. Cooperation ends cases. Cooperation stops money. Cooperation kills profit. So the system quietly incentivizes chaos, encourages emotional drama, and rewards the parent who keeps the conflict alive. Divorce is not a legal process. It's a financial machine. And in that machine, the father is not a parent. He's the product. Most men believe divorce is an emotional reaction, a sudden breaking point or a moment of frustration. But in reality, many women plan their divorce the way someone plans a long game of chess. By the time a man realizes something is wrong, she has already positioned every piece on the board. Filing first gives her the narrative advantage. She becomes the one escaping something, not the one destroying something. Lawyers often coach women to build a story months before filing, collecting texts, saving arguments, and documenting selective moments that paint her as the victim and him as the aggressor. Meanwhile, the man thinks they're just having normal marital problems, unaware that everything he says or does is being archived for future ammunition. False allegations are not accidental, they are strategic. Even the slightest suggestion of fear, emotional manipulation, or not feeling safe can completely flip a case in her favor. Courts react instantly to emotional claims because they are trained to prioritize the potential victim. A man is guilty until proven innocent, while a woman is protected until proven wrong, and she rarely is. Even vague accusations like "he's controlling" or "he makes me uncomfortable" hold more weight than a father's years of sacrifice and stability. Women are also guided by their support networks. Friends, co-workers, and divorced women feed her the same advice. Take everything, get custody first, make him pay. They tell her the system is on her side because it is. And once she realizes how easy it is to weaponize the legal system, she uses every tool available. Restraining orders, emotional narratives, child sympathy, financial claims, and strategic timing. Men walk into court with truth, women walk in with a plan. And in divorce court, the plan always wins. The most painful truth about divorce court is that a man can be loyal, faithful, supportive, and completely innocent, and still walk out of the courtroom as the villain, not because he failed as a husband or father, but because the system is designed to treat him as a threat the moment he enters the room. A woman doesn't need evidence to win sympathy. Her emotions are enough, but a man must defend himself from assumptions that were written into the system before he was even born. Judges don't ask, is he guilty? They ask, could he be a danger? That one word, "could," destroys thousands of good men every year. He loses custody not because he's a bad father, but because the court doesn't want to risk being wrong. He loses the house, not because she earned it more, but because the court believes she needs stability. He pays child support not because she can't afford life, but because the court believes he can recover financially faster, even when that's a lie. A man can follow every rule, avoid conflict, provide for his family, and still lose everything in a single hearing. His innocence doesn't matter. His intentions don't matter. His sacrifices don't matter. All that matters is the narrative the court is most comfortable protecting. The idea that women need help and men can handle the pain. In the eyes of the system, a man doesn't lose because he's wrong. He loses because he's a man. When a marriage ends, people assume the woman suffers the most, but the truth is far darker. The psychological collapse hits men in a way society refuses to acknowledge. For women, divorce often brings support, sympathy, and validation. For men, it brings silence. A man can lose his children, his home, his identity, and his sense of purpose in a single court ruling, and the world expects him to take it quietly. He goes from being a father who tucks his kids in at night to a visitor who needs permission to see them. He goes from the provider of the home to the outsider paying for a house he no longer lives in. Every part of his life changes instantly, and yet everyone tells him, "Stay strong," as if strength is enough to replace what he lost. The breakdown begins with confusion, trying to understand how he became the enemy in a story he never agreed to. Then comes the guilt, even when he did nothing wrong. Society convinces him that he must have failed somewhere. He replays every argument, every moment, every decision, looking for the mistake that justifies the punishment he's receiving. And when he can't find one, the hopelessness begins. The system isolates him emotionally and financially until he feels like a burden in his own life. Men don't talk about this pain because they are conditioned not to. They don't cry because nobody listens. They don't ask for help because people mock them. They don't express their suffering because they've been trained since childhood to swallow it. But the emotional damage piles up silently until the man becomes a shadow of who he used to be. The truth is brutal. Divorce doesn't just end a relationship for men, it destroys their identity, their confidence, and their place in the world. When a marriage collapses, society doesn't investigate the truth. It chooses a side instantly, and that side is almost never the man's. The moment people hear the word divorce, they assume he failed. Maybe he wasn't loving enough. Maybe he wasn't supportive enough. Maybe he did something wrong. Nobody asks for evidence. Nobody questions her stroke. Nobody wonders whether she might be lying, exaggerating, or hiding her own mistakes. The world simply follows the script it has been taught. If a woman is unhappy, the man must be the reason. Friends distance themselves from him. Family members whisper behind his back. Co-workers avoid the topic altogether. Meanwhile, she receives comfort, sympathy, and emotional protection, even if she was the one who cheated, manipulated, or walked away first. Social media makes it worse. Online, a woman only needs to post a vague quote about healing, pain, or moving on, and suddenly she becomes the hero of her own tragedy. But if a man speaks up, he gets labelled bitter, insecure, or dangerous. In society's eyes, a woman's frustration is justified, but a man's pain is suspicious. He is judged not by his actions, but by his gender, and in that judgment, he loses before he even speaks. Long before a man even realizes his marriage is falling apart, the woman already knows the silent rules of the game, the rules nobody ever teaches men. She knows that the moment she hints at being unhappy, people will take her side. She knows that if she cries, the court will listen. She knows that if she claims emotional harm, she doesn't need proof her feelings will become facts. And she knows that the legal system is structured in a way that rewards her for leaving first, filing first, and framing the story first. Women talk. They watch their friends go through divorce. They hear how easy it is to win custody by presenting themselves as the more stable parent. They learn how lawyers coach them to document selective moments, build emotional narratives, and make decisions that position them as the victim. Meanwhile, men walk into the process blind, believing fairness matters. They don't know the timing, the tactics, the emotional framing, or the psychological tools that women are already prepared to use. The truth is simple. Women enter divorce court with a strategy. Men enter with honesty. And in a system built on narratives instead of truth, strategy wins every time and honesty gets crushed beneath it. At the end of it all, a man walks out of divorce court with a lesson he never wanted to learn. The system isn't broken, it was built this way. He realizes too late that divorce isn't about truth, fairness, or justice. It's about narratives, incentives, and a structure that decided the outcome long before he got a chance to speak. And while he stands there holding the pieces of the life he built, the world expects him to stay silent, stay strong, and move on as if he didn't just lose everything. But the harsh reality is this: men aren't losing because they're bad partners or bad fathers. They're losing because the system was designed to protect the person who appears more fragile, not the person who actually sacrificed more. And until men understand this truth, they will continue to walk blindly into a battlefield thinking it's a courtroom.